Hello and welcome back to coverage here at Grand Prix Dallas Fort Worth. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe in the booth with the Hall of Famer Paulo Vitor Dominaria, and it's time for the finals. Will Craddock on the left-hand side of your screen playing against Robert Brown. And boy, this could be a quick one, kiddos. We've got two aggressive decks going at it. Blue-white versus red-white. On the left-hand side of your screen, that's Will Craddock. He's got the Voltaic Servant. Now, this is kind of the weakness of his deck here, right, Paulo, is that he's trying to be this sort of evasive deck that can get in, but he's got a few cards in there that don't really fit the theme.
Yeah, and the Voltaic Servant in particular matches up really poorly against the Short Sword, because it means any creature that Robert Brown plays will just ignore the 1/3 body.
Mm-hmm.
So as we can see right now, it's not going to do much more than just attack for one.
He's got a Dominant Trapper and gets to untap his Servant as well, thanks to his triggered ability on end step. Passes the turn back to Robert. Robert's got the ideal 3-drop really for these decks. This Pegasus Courser following the Knight of New Benalia. Well, that's just 4 damage in the air just on their own, and it can make racing difficult, though it looks like Robert is going to go ahead and block the Voltaic Servant here to soak up one of the damage, but he's still taking 3 in the exchange.
Yeah, no reason not to block. He knows there are no Adamant Wills in Will Craddock's deck.
Mm-hmm. So clean block there for him. Will gets to once again untap the Voltaic Servant. In the meantime, Robert Brown says, let's get in the red zone here, crunch in for 4, and immediately evens up the life totals just like that. Oh boy. Call the Cavalry, turn 4 from Brown. He puts it on the stack and says, do you have anything you want to do about it? And Will says, sure, it resolves, and did nothing on turn 4 at all.
Yeah, and
this better be good. No, it's good. Cloud Reader Sphinx, yeah. Very nice, and puts Robert in a very awkward position. Even the Short Sword can't get around this Cloud Reader Sphinx, else the Pegasus Courser would just die.
Yeah, the Short Sword can't pump the Pegasus out of range of the Sphinx, but then the Sphinx can just block whatever else attacks.
Exactly. So it doesn't work whether he puts it on either one. If he puts it on the Knight,
he needs another Short Sword. Is what he needs.
He does. Well, he's got another something, but it turns out it's Pegasus Courser this time.
Yeah, the Knight of New Benalia can attack. It will likely trade for the Trapper here, which, you know, is a trade you're happy making.
Probably happy, though Robert actually turns down that opportunity. He doesn't even attack. So Will Craddock really leaning on this Cloud Reader Sphinx pretty hard right now, but it's doing its job, setting up future draw steps and stabilizing the board, and this might be enough for him to take control of this game back from Robert Brown and start keeping the beats flowing.
Yeah, but Will doesn't have any great attacks. Oh, well, or he does.
You're clearly wrong.
I am. I don't know what's in his hand,
right,
but I
it better
find
be
that
another
attack,
Cloud Reader Sphinx.
It better be a Lyra.
No kidding. He's getting in. This is a potential trade 3 damage for 20, but let's see what he's got.
Okay, that works.
In Bolus's clutches. And what is he going to steal? A Pegasus Courser? Okay.
Yeah, but Robert will still get to attack in a spot like this, though Will get to attack back for more. So, yeah, both those players are doing what their deck is designed to do. They're racing, and they really can't do anything else. No one can control the game here. No one can get card advantage. You know, you're not going to see Soul Salvages and Chroniclers. It's just creatures swinging past each other, and sometimes a block or a combat trick. But, yeah, I expect players to just turn everything sideways every turn that they reasonably can until the game is over.
That's exactly what's happening here. Robert Brown just says, team, everybody's in.
Yeah, I assume he gave flying to New Benalia. I didn't see that, but I think it's a safe assumption.
Yeah, agree. So 2 1/3s jump in front of the 2/2 Vigilance Knights.
Oh, wow. And that's not going to work out well for him because the card in Robert's hand is Radiant Lightning.
Oh, no.
And that's going to deal 3 damage to Will and finish off both the 1/3s.
Wow. Robert Brown really leveraging kind of a fringe card. You know, Radiant Lightning is the kind of card that comes to mind when you think of playing against Sapperlings or just a deck that happens to have multiple 1-toughness creatures. But, oh boy, if he can use it to take down a 3-drop and a 2-drop while losing no board position whatsoever and doing 3 damage, he's going to be thrilled. And that's exactly what happens. Wow, nice swing in Robert Brown's direction. He says, excuse me. I'll take my creature back. Thank you very much. And now, once again, that Cloud Reader Sphinx not being on blocking duty there, perhaps punished a bit, as his blocking options look much better with the Sphinx in play, or, untapped.
Yeah, I don't know if those life totals are correct. I don't believe they are. I think maybe
right.
they just damaged Robert from his Radiant Lightning.
Yeah, I think we might
Which would make it a much worse card.
We'll get a quick double check on the life totals just to make sure.
Yeah, so yeah, Radiant Lightning, a card that, normally isn't that great against Blue-White. It's really a card that is good against Serpentings, but I like main decking it if I'm very aggressive, and especially if I have spell matter cards. Like if I'm playing a Wizards deck and I need spells and I'm already aggressive, then you can leverage the 3 damage and the 1 damage for everything, and that's actually pretty good. Or at least okay to main deck.
You think Will Craddock's going to pump the brakes here a little bit?
Oh, he has to.
Yeah.
Well, maybe not. Again, I'm proven wrong.
Wow, so he plays a Dominant Trapper, then plays a Short Sword, which gives him a double tap and allows him to attack for a hefty amount, 6 damage that turn.
Yeah, he has to have Gideon's Reproach in hand because he didn't equip the sword.
He has to, right? Or I guess you're looking at the list. I mean, does he have a Blink of an Eye in there as well?
Oh, he does have Blink of an Eye. Yeah,
so
it could be that.
One or the other.
Yeah, he has 1 copy of each.
Okay. But at any rate, by not equipping the sword, he's kind of telegraphed the fact that he has something.
Yeah, because in this race, it really could matter. Because he has all 3 power creatures in play, and his opponent's at 7, so putting his opponent to 6 makes any combination of 2 creatures lethal, as opposed to only one of the sword plus another. So it is a cost. But what are you going to do,
Yeah.
Those 2 decks are facing against each other.
And boy, you said it. They're just going to be attacking each other unabashedly, and boy, have they. These guys seem like such nice guys, too, but they sit down and just go, attack with everything I possibly can every turn until a winner is determined. And Will is now in an unenviable position. He's actually going to trade off his Dominant Trapper for half of Call the Cavalry.
Yeah, and that makes me think it's Blink of an Eye and not Gideon's Reproach, and Will has lethal in play if his opponent only plays 1 blocker.
That's right.
Or, sorry.
The Vigilance.
There is the Vigilance card, yeah. But he can still draw a Historic card and tap it, but...
Yeah, so I think we're probably going to see that Aven Sentry, or maybe just the Vigilance Knight sent packing. Yeah, there it goes. Blink of an Eye, and if he has anything to activate that Trapper, he can win the game on the spot. Does he have it?
I'm going to guess not, based on him not having already slammed that in play.
Yes, I agree with you on that one, Paulo.
Okay, so now, is he going to pump the brakes?
He's going to scoop up his permanence here. Down to 1 life. He didn't find what he needed, and he didn't even make Robert attack him.
He didn't, but...
Oh, I would have made him attack. He's got Gideon's Reproach in his deck.
I would too. Yeah,
Robert very well may say, I'm going to play another creature, I'll kill you next turn, go. Right? Like, that happens all the time.
Yeah, it definitely does.
But Will said, nope, you got me. This race is yours. And Robert Brown takes down game number 1. Big smile on his face, too.
And, there is a card in Will's sideboard that never sees play. But if it will ever see play, it is in this matchup. He has 3 copies of it. Healing Grace.
Healing Grace.
So it's not good. I don't like it. I'll never main deck it. But if we're in a spot like this, Robert has 2 Fervent Strikes in his deck, for example.
Definitely.
It's a 1-mana combat trick that no one plays around because it's bad. It helps swing races by a lot. It effectively wins 6 life, gains you 6 life in a race. And if your opponent tries to play a card like Fervent Strike, well, just for 1 mana, you blow them out, and you gain 3 life in the process. So I think Will should consider bringing this card in. And
I agree.
I assume he won't because no one does.
Yep.
It's like a meme card, but...
Well, it's funny. It's funny that you brought this up today. I actually brought that card in for the first time ever last night. I was doing a draft on Magic Online when I was getting ready to hit the hay after we were done working.
Wow,
yesterday.
You were doing a draft yesterday after we were done?
Yeah, of course. Come on.
Okay.
I'm a junkie. And I was like, look, I think I'm going to bring in this card. And my friend Woody was like, I don't think that's probably correct. And I'm like, look, I don't think it normally is, but my opponent was fully all in, multiple pump spells, the run amucks and that kind of stuff, and just was all in every single time. And I thought, gosh, if I can just disrupt one of these once, I might be able to do it. And I got to tell you, the card was good. It performed.
Yeah, I mean, that's Robert Brown's deck, right? He is all in.
All right, well, a quick start from both players once again. Oh, boy.
Yeah, that
Danitha
card.
Capuchin is going to kind of seal up the ground game, at least for now.
Yeah, that card is so strong in any sort of race.
Look at what it does here.
And they're like, what do? Do you just double block it and get super blown out by any trick, including, Healing Grace?
Yeah.
Like Gideon's Reproach, Blink of an Eye.
Yeah, but you know how it goes? If you just keep taking it, oh boy, short sword now for Craddock means that even the double block isn't going to work. So you notice that he's only tapped 1 mana. That's because the short sword actually cost 0.
Yeah, and that to me means no Gideon's Reproach, because if he did have that, he would probably have equipped the Servant and attacked with both. The Servant effectively has Vigilance, it untaps itself. So that to me shows he does not have a way of trumping combat with that Danitha. So he doesn't want to trade. He doesn't want his opponent to double block it.
Yeah, he did get in with Danitha Capuchin. That's why his life total's up higher now. And boy, this curve out looks really nice for Will Craddock, especially in this particular matchup. As now he has Cloud Reader Sphinx. He's just tapping out for it, though, signaling he's done with anything else for the turn. But he can start lining up attacks, maybe set up some type of tricks in combat. And right now, there is a major brick wall on the battlefield in the form of Danitha Capuchin, and Robert Brown's going to have to find his way through.
Yeah, and in matchups like this, having a creature that has Vigilant, First Strike, and Lifelink is so huge, you basically can never erase it. Oh, wow, that's dangerous.
So he played a Juggernaut?
He didn't tap anything, so didn't want to attack, but that Juggernaut is going to have to attack into a Danitha next turn.
Right, and she has 3 power right now, plus First Strike. Like, Robert could just send that Juggernaut to its death.
Yeah, just 4 mana, you gain 3, go.
Yeah, and I'll rip this card up. Pegasus Courser now also really threatening, as once Pegasus Courser can start picking up Danitha Capuchin.
Yeah, I think
it's impossible to raise.
Will's attack is very aggressive here, because Robert is clearly setting up a turn where he will attack, right?
Yes.
His plan can't be, I'll send Juggernaut to its death. So he's going to attack with everything, and that's what he does. And Will lost on a potential blocker here. So I think Will's been playing this matchup a little bit too aggressively. And Robert should really split up his lands.
Agreed. It does make it difficult to see exactly what's going on, and that's the kind of information that can be important.
Yeah, so Will could have... Robert could have Charge, for example. It is a card that we've already seen. I believe it was him that we saw just comboing people out with Charge and run amok. And
that was him.
Yeah, so I really dislike that attack with the Sphinx. You don't lose anything by waiting 1 turn. And if the Juggernaut has to throw itself into the Danitha that is so good for you, you know that is not what's going to happen. So having the Sphinx be able to block a 2/2 that got in would have been pretty good.
Now, Will Craddock looks like he's decided to play around Charge at least somewhat here by throwing Danitha Capuchin in front of a 2-toughness creature rather than the Juggernaut.
Yeah, but that plays around Charge exactly. It does not play around Run Amok, for example. Right. It doesn't play around Fervent Strike. Like, they'll both trade.
Yeah, he's hedging kind of in the middle here.
But the hedge should have been done before combat, before he attacked with this thing.
Yep. And there we go. Run Amok is going to make a 5-toughness creature plenty enough to run over Danitha Capuchin, and Will Craddock gets punished pretty hard here. He's taking a lot of damage. He's going to take 9, gain 3, so he's going to be at 17 after all is said and done. Actually, I might have spoken too soon. He's actually taking some trample damage here as well.
Yeah, I think this is really Will misunderstanding the position
14.
he's in. Because he had the advantage in play, I believe.
Oh, yes.
And he kind of, tried to make it a race when he didn't necessarily have to. He could just start racing next turn. He has a Pegasus in the Danitha with lifelink.
Can gain back a lot of that life and really put Robert Brown... I mean, Robert couldn't have felt good about casting that Juggernaut, right? He probably said, well, this is a little desperate, but I do what I got to do.
Yeah.
And then the door just opened up in front of him, and he just crashed right through it.
Yeah, and it's interesting that the Jousting Lance was played post-combat. So it could have been played pre-combat to tap one of the creatures, and it just wasn't. So either Robert didn't think that it was relevant or wanted his opponent to block. Maybe he wanted Will to block. or he just had something else to do with the mana, had the blocks been different.
It's interesting because if he plays it and taps down not Danitha, it's just like the biggest I have something, and perhaps let Will play around a little bit, but
the
probably
thing is,
correct to do anyway.
Playing the Juggernaut was already the biggest I have something.
Absolutely.
No one's going to play 4 mana, your opponent gains 3.
Right.
Straight to the graveyard.
Right.
Like, he had to have something there.
Of course. And now all of a sudden, Will Craddock is behind.
Yeah, I mean, Will did get to play a card that is great in this racing situation, the Sergeant of Arms.
Yeah, and he's going to burn a couple of tokens here to soak up some life after he attacked for 4, knocking Robert down to 9. But we are in a full race situation here.
So did the 2/2 Knights attack? Why didn't the Surgeon block? I don't know if the Knights didn't attack, but I think the Surgeon should have traded with the Trapper instead of a token just jump blocking the Trapper. Because this is not enough damage to finish Robert off in 1 attack anyway, and it is more than enough damage to finish Robert off in 2 attacks. So at that point, you don't care that you get a 1/1, and you would rather just trade than having a 2/3 left, I think. Oh, or maybe he does have a way to finish Robert off.
And there's that charge that you talked about a minute ago.
Yeah, so he did have both those cards.
He did.
So we'll play it around that by not blocking the 3/2, but maybe he would have... Oh, wow. Everyone has charges.
Charge, recharge? Okay, so these kind of cancel each other out.
Yeah, so Will had lethal.
He
had
did.
Robert not blocked.
He did. And he may even still be able to finish him off. Robert's down to 3. And it's looking good for Will Craddock. He does only have 1 blocker left, and he is facing quite a bit of power.
Yeah, he's facing 9 damage. So if Robert has anything, he wins. In fact,
any
maybe
removal spell.
Robert shouldn't have played that charge. Because the charge was used... Oh, that's just game.
And he has Adam and Will anyway, and Robert Brown, king of the combat trick, gets the job done every single time we saw him on camera. It was run amok, it was charge, it was Adam and Will, and he just jams nonstop, and he's able to turn around a game that looked like he was way behind on Will Craddock and take down the trophy here in Dallas. That is your champion. Congratulations. And, wow, Robert Brown, he did not come here to mess around. I'll tell you that right now. He came here to rumble, and he has taken a very aggressive stance on the format and turned it into a GP trophy here in Dallas, Paulo.
Yeah, he has, and very quickly. That's probably one of the fastest stop rates I've ever seen.
Yes, that was extremely fast, a 2-0 victory for him. Also, by the way, I also want to say congratulations to Zhang Ziyang, the winner of GP Beijing, defeating Ken Yukihiro in the final. So those are the 2 GPs that we had this weekend, and you can take a look at him there. Congratulations to him. But here in Dallas, it's Robert Brown as our champion, and boy, did that end quickly. You know, we've seen a lot of different types of archetypes throughout the course of the weekend, both in draft and then very slow ones, and a lot wider range of them in sealed. But here, it was actually 2 pretty assertive decks, and the most assertive deck ended up winning.
Yeah, he did. And again, both decks were just, swinging past each other. And if you make one misstep in there, if you play around, one wrong combat trick, that's the difference between winning and losing. Those matches are really hard to navigate.
Yeah, and we saw Will Craddock there. He had his opponent down to 3 and just kind of was at the mercy of whatever it is that Robert could have. But we've learned one thing about Robert this weekend. He always has it.
He does.
I put him on run amok. I'll just tell you that right now. If I'm sitting across from him and I'm wondering to myself, is it possible this man has run amok? I would say he probably does. All right, sounds like we've got Robert down in the feature match area for a quick interview.
Yep.
Excuse me. Hey, Robert, Marshall, and Paulo in the booth. Congratulations. You are our champion.
I know, it's crazy. I don't know what to think.
So we've decided that if we play against you at any point, Robert, we're going to assume you have run amok in your hand at all times. Is this a safe assumption?
I have to admit, I got pretty lucky. So not every time, but definitely a lot of the time.
every time we had you on camera, you were just comboing people out with charge and run amok and Adam at will. You seem to have a very aggressive take on the format. Is that how you approach these drafts?
Yeah, actually, before I did this, every draft I played, I tried to do the normal dirtily Dominaria thing and just kept losing over and over again. So this time, I decided to go aggressive, and it worked.
How did that work out for you?
Much, much better. Yeah, felt good.
Now, it was interesting watching you play in the finals because things were pretty compressed between you and Will. You guys were both seemed to be of the mind of let's race, let's have a damage race here and keep attacking each other. But when that happens, it means even the slightest misstep can be very punishing for either of you.
Well, I mean, I knew it was in my hand, and I felt like I had enough damage sitting there to outrace him. So it felt like the right thing to do was to be happy that he was attacking me. So
what was going through your mind? So in that last game, you had to play the Juggernaut, even though there's a 3-powered first striker on the other side because you were going to set up for your combat trick. What was going through your mind there? Because that obviously doesn't feel great.
Actually, I was just completely in my mind that I was perfectly okay with it blocking because I knew no matter what, I was going to be playing that combat trick next turn. So I was perfectly fine with it. I was ready, I guess.
You were prepared with all of the combat tricks
in
the world. Well, Robert, congratulations. A great victory for you.
Thank you.
Win all the money, the trophy, the pro points, and, of course, we'll see you at the Pro Tour as well. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you very much.
So great stuff from our champion, Robert Brown there. And that, of course, is going to do it here from Dallas-Fort Worth. Thank you so much for coming along to come along and join us here from Dallas. We created a lot of fun memories, and we had a great time bringing you the tournament as well. What stands out for you, Paulo, from the weekend?
I mean, I think what stands out is the stark difference between sealed and draft. Every time we saw sealed, people had bomb rares, and the games took 30 minutes. And in draft, we saw people just killing each other on turn 4 with combat tricks. Well, not turn 4, but you get the idea. Much faster than sealed. So I like that this different exists. I like that, you can't just have one mindset when it comes to Dominaria. You have to have two mindsets. There's Dominaria sealed, that's one animal, and there's Dominaria draft, is very different.
Yeah, and I think that, there's normally, we'll tell you about, like, sort of rules of thumb, like, well, sealed plays a little slower, and you might be able to play a few more of your bombs, or that kind of thing. But this is pronounced. I mean, this is a much different, like, there's a major gap between, a lot of people were just, I'll draw. Can you imagine drawing against Robert Brown here? You're like, I'll draw. He's like, are you serious?
I'm like Juggernaut.
Yeah, he's like, great. You'll draw yourself into a loss because, he's playing all 2-drops and combat tricks, and he's going to get the job done in a pretty easy way. So.
And at the same time, I don't think you have to be aggressive. That is why I like this format. There have been formats where you had to be aggressive. Aggression was the only good path. And I think in Dominaria, that's not the case. If you get your bombs, if you get your good uncommons, you can play a control deck even in draft. But if you don't, you have an avenue to win as well. Then you just have to be aggressive. So you can do both things.
Yeah. Really cool format, and it's playing out pretty nicely here. Again, wanted to say thank you to you for joining us. It was really fun having you along. Also, thank you to the staff that helps make these tournaments go. That's the judges and everybody here, of course, from the coverage team as well. That's Rich, Maria, Kenji, this guy, Paulo Vitor, Dominarosa, and me, Marshall Sutcliffe, saying thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you next time.